Welcome back, and we are back with family law specialist Hillary Hux. She's answering all of your family law questions. Again, don't forget to text us questions that you have, 336-379-5775. So Hillary, I'm going to start with one of the questions that someone has already texted in. They said, is there an age that a child doesn't have to go to the other spouse's home anymore, even if there is a custody order?
There's not, no. And that's actually a really common scenario where someone will have a teenager who doesn't want to follow the court order. And both of the parents definitely have an obligation to do really everything in their power to make sure that that child does follow the court order. If it's something where they really can't, then it's probably a good idea to get that court order modified just to make sure that they're not risking being held in contempt for not following it.
Another viewer asked, when is a divorce worth filing?
Oh, I guess it kind of depends on what your considerations are there. I mean, if you're separated but not divorced, you still have exposure for things like medical debts, or you could inherit from that person, from your spouse, and maybe that spouse doesn't want you to. If you went ahead with the divorce, that would solve that issue. You, of course, can't marry somebody else until you get divorced. So if that's on your radar, definitely go ahead and file it. The filing fees and typically the attorney costs on the divorce itself are not terrible. Where we start to get complicated is where you bring in issues of property division, child custody, things like that. So I would say definitely make the call if it's just the divorce.
Yeah, and we were just talking about earlier with pension and retirement that they can get that from you, right? Yeah. So another question we have is, what should you do if someone refuses to pay child support? I know that this is something that's also probably pretty common.
It is, yeah, and you have a couple different avenues. You can certainly contact Guilford County Child Support Enforcement. That's one option, and if you have a current court order, chances are that they will help you enforce that. You can also hire your own counsel to enforce it. And what we would be doing is asking the court to hold that person, the payor, the person who's paying child support, in contempt because they have the ability to pay and they're not paying. And basically, they don't have a good excuse for not paying. And really, the court has some pretty strong powers when we're talking about contempt. It can, for example, hold you in jail until you made a child support payment.
We had another question from someone that said, how can I apply for guardianship if my partner's ex is no longer in the picture?
So there's a really common misconception about guardianship versus custody. Guardianship requires not just the parents to be not in the picture, but actually incapacitated, or maybe they've passed away. So that's probably more of a custody question. I think that's what they're getting at, but that one's a little iffy to me.
Well, Hillary, thank you so much for answering all these questions and
Sure.
all your help. We appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
And if you missed any of this information, I know it's really important to some of you, you can always find it on our website in the Two Wants to Know section.